Verve was born as a product of InterSwitch to be positioned as the way that Africans pay.
We have to create products that are affordable in a manner that any man in any part of Nigeria should be able to carry a Verve card and use that Verve card.
Therefore, what Verve has tried to do is to make payment for goods and services much more seamless.
Verve is able to help you meet your needs.
Okay, so my name is Mitchell Elegbe. I am Group CEO at InterSwitch. Started the company about 70 years ago, 3 years after NYC, so I was very inexperienced. I did not know payments, I did not know banking, but I knew Nigeria and I knew the challenges we were facing in Nigeria.
I joined InterSwitch at the very beginning in 2002. My role at the time was the group head responsible for business solutions. So I was one of the first 3 staff of the organization, and I worked in the company for over 15 years. My last role was the CEO of Verve.
If I go way back into 2002 when InterSwitch started, we were just 7 at the time, and it was about building what has become the Switch today and the network.
It happened many years ago. I came across a picture on the internet called the Dark Continent. It was a picture of the globe taken from outer space. I can clearly see that the area called Africa was darker than most parts of the world. I saw that picture from the point of view of lots of opportunities abounding for the youths of Africa, and if they focus on trying to solve any of the challenges that we face, they could potentially build multi-billion companies from there. Right from 2002 when we started, we were very concerned that if we're going to provide the kind of comfort, the kind of convenience that customers wanted, we had to have an online real-time infrastructure. Luckily for us, most of us were engineers. Our knowledge of engineering was such that we knew we could design out some of these challenges. It was common for people to go to the banks on Fridays especially. We find lots of queues because they needed to take a lot of cash home for the weekend. It was common for robbers and hoodlums to attack people in their vehicles in traffic on Friday because there was a high likelihood that there would be cash in the car. It was common then for people to be attacked at home by robbers because they knew that on a Friday night or Saturday there would be a lot of cash at home because we're a cash-based economy. The view then from most parties, most of our competitors, was to eliminate cash. But we asked ourselves the question, name one country where cash has been eliminated. And we didn't see any. Culturally, we love cash. We are the country where cash is used at burials, at weddings, at any form of celebration, in what we call spraying. Okay? We are the country where every small shop around us basically accepted cash. We are the country where the bulk of the main markets are all cash driven. So we decided to ask the question differently, to say, is cash not the problem? No, cash wasn't the problem. The problem was how do you use cash? And if how you use cash is a challenge, then what you needed to do was to make cash available just in time. And so we made a bet to go in a slightly different direction from everybody else.
We identified that there was a need to have a card scheme. At the time, we approached all the players locally that had card schemes, and we approached international players. And 2 answers that we got was, 1, it's impossible to have a successful debit network in Nigeria. And the second answer that we got was that it's extremely risky to do a card business in Nigeria. So what we decided to do was we created our own card standard, and we published our card standard and gave it for free. So in 2003, the first set of banks that issued Verve cards, issued cards in general, not Verve cards, they issued cards with different brands and different names, issued it in 2003, October. And that was First Bank and UBA. So they issued their own cards with the standard that we had created, and that standard now went across the whole of the country. We were still just a network as InterSwitch, providing several products and providing several services.
In
2008, we had a problem, or rather the country had a problem. Magnetic stripes were going to be phased out.
The initial cards that were used on this network were magnetic stripe cards, and it was very easy to defraud someone. We saw that as a problem. We saw that as a problem that we needed to solve, and there was one technology that we could use to solve that problem, and that was an EMV-based chip card.
Globally, the international schemes had already started migrating to chip and pin.
The two international card schemes that came in with EMV cards, and the standard that we had created was a magnetic stripe card. So in 2008, we spent the whole year designing our own EMV card, and the real question to ask is, why did we decide to do that? The first reason was that several banks in the country, particularly the smaller ones, could not afford to be members of these international card schemes.
Africa had a huge gap. Payments was being left to foreign brands, and it was high cost and very expensive for issuers and for other participants.
Clearly, there was something missing, and we thought we could fill that gap by creating a domestic scheme.
So Verve came in to provide an alternative that was able to achieve the same level of quality, the same level of standards, but at a lower price, so that we will be able to serve the unserved.
There was a lot of skepticism at the beginning. People didn't think that it was possible for InterSwitch to do this.
Verve, of course, was received with a lot of doubt. Do we have what it takes from a technology perspective, a business perspective? But we had to, of course, convince the government and the banks that this is a vision that's actually formidable and worth pursuing. It took a lot of time to convince people that Verve actually had a place, Verve actually had a solution, and Verve actually had value that it was bringing to the marketplace.
Coming into this space, it's important to note that we are like the proverbial David in the Bible. We came in with these big players who have done it over and over in many other countries, but then we made it clear to the market that we understand this market much more than these international players. So my people would say, you cannot be taller than me and be shorter than me at the same time. We came in with an offering that is suited for our own market because we understand this market.
Yeah, it really feels good when you hear that Verve that started about 10 years ago is now really global, and global indeed. That's a company that just started with probably one issuer in Nigeria about 10 years ago, has so many issuers across multiple countries in Africa, and can be accepted in so many countries across the world. The emotion is not something I can explain. I mean, being part of the team that was responsible for making this card, not just work in Nigeria, but work in so many international markets, is really something very fantastic. It's a story I would like to share with my children sometime over and over again.
We partnered with the largest card manufacturing company in the world. We worked with a technology company that is now the largest payment technology provider in the world. And we worked with a number of local companies as well to create an Africa solution to an Africa problem. So from the day we started to September 2009, when the deadline occurred, we managed to design the solution, implement it, and put it into the hands of customers. And from the very next month, the fraud levels in the industry dropped to almost zero.
My role at that point was really after a lot of the back-end work was done. So I was responsible for rolling out Verve across over 20 banks with a team of less than 10 people. So it wasn't exactly that easy, but we made it work. And we're able to take a country from where it was, which was much less secure, to a 100% fully migrated EMV market. One of the things that has made Verve quite successful is a product that is impervious to a number of challenges that the other card schemes, especially the international card schemes, have. And that means that the network constraints, the issues with transactions, the failure rate is much less because it's being processed by a domestic infrastructure that is supported by InterSwitch. The other thing is Verve today is hardly impacted by macro volatility, especially if you look at exchange rates. And that is because the billing for Verve, the settlement for Verve is done in local currency. So if there's any volatility, it doesn't really impact on the product. And this is something that our issuers, banks, are happy with. Also, because it's a domestic scheme, we have the flexibility around pricing, and we can respond to market exigencies a lot faster and adapt to what the market requires.
Intercontinental Bank was the first bank to launch Verve card in the market. And I was with Intercontinental Bank at that time. I launched Verve card into the market. As a bank, we did believe that Verve was the right card scheme to go with. Verve card met all the security requirements for any card scheme. It had a lot of cost saving for us. The pricing was very, very transparent.
When we launched Verve, we combined it with our other product, QuickTeller, which meant that for the first time, customers could use their cards to do more than all the traditional things that they could do. You could buy airtime, you could pay your bills, you could pay your school fees, you could transfer money to friends. And then on top of that, you could redeem rewards. So the utility of the card was one of the reasons why we moved from zero to becoming one of the dominant card products in the market in terms of what customers preferred to use. Over a very short period of time, within 6 years, Verve had moved from zero in terms of market share to be the number one payment card in the market.
The decision to adopt Verve card at FCMB was a natural one, as the usage of cards was scaling locally, and you got many more, thousands started from hundreds of thousands to millions of customers. It just makes economic sense that a Verve scheme, a card scheme where the switching is being done locally, is going to be cheaper on the long run because the transaction economics is going to be lower.
We have about 9.5 million individuals, okay, that maintain active accounts, whose accounts are active with us, okay. So of the 9.5 million, about 8 million of them carry Verve cards.
To be honest, the cardholders are very proud of the Nigerian product, and it's been very stable. It's increasingly gotten better over the years, and I guess for them, it works everywhere. So it's a good brand, it's a good product for them to use.
The whole vision is about making payments seamless. People shouldn't think about payments the way they bother about other things. I remember the first time that Verve card was used on an ATM somewhere in front of a hotel. The first ATM that dispensed cash using a Verve card. It was wow. The level of interoperability that's been achieved in Nigeria today, that you can now enter any merchant location without asking questions first. Is my card accepted here? You go ahead and pick all that you want to shop and now present your card. It wouldn't happen in the past. What kind of experience do they have at merchant locations? Are their cards actually working? So today I've had to come out to come and shop to see exactly what our Verve card holders face when they go to merchant locations.
When we first launched the Verve, it was accepted. On ATMs, we were accepted on point of sales. But for it to work on the internet channel, whereby all you needed was a card number, we came up with a product called Safe Token. And what that does is that if you did a transaction, we will send you an SMS, and the SMS will contain a code. and once you get the code, you then be able to proceed with the transaction. That's one thing that we built on Verve. But again, our customers always want more, right? And I mean that's what we do. We work with our customers to give them what they want. So we had a lot of customers that moved out of Nigeria to African countries as well, and it only made sense for us to allow their customers use their Verve cards at any of the countries that they have presence. So we work with them to enable Verve cards to be used across those countries.
Support is critical. Have a Verve card, and there is an issue either in the issuance process or in any of the processes. How responsive is the management, to resolving those issues. So to a large extent, I would say that we enjoy very cordial working relationship with Verve. And one of the reasons why we continue to issue Verve is the quality of support.
My name is Ramata Balogun. I'm selling shoes at Balogun. I'm a trader. What makes me to open Better Card is I used to save money there in case of maybe I want to pay for the shop rent, or maybe I have a particular goods that I want to buy that I don't want to spend the cash, so I keep the money there. So when I need it, I'll go and withdraw it.
It is efficient. There is no failure in it. Whenever you dip it into the machine, it works properly. It saves me from taking money all about. You can transfer with it. You can do so many transactions on it.
The market didn't know we'll be here in 10 years, but we knew what we could achieve. But I'm thinking of the next 10, and I can say it will be amazing.
When you see how far you've gone, when you see what you've been able to conquer, you start asking yourself, what next? And then you begin to look for the next big challenge. And I think that is why, even though one is really excited about what has happened, I think there's so much more that can be done. We're just scratching the surface right now.
So at any point in time, we are thinking ahead of the pack, and we are actually creating solutions that address specific challenges of consumers. We are creating e-cash solutions where you don't necessarily need to have an account with the bank to make payments. So if you're a woman that sells vegetables in the market and you have a phone number, we can create wallets where you can accept payments and equally make payments for.
I see Verve being adopted as de facto card schemes across different countries, domestic card schemes across countries, meeting various needs, and the successes that we've had in Nigeria. I see us replicating it across different countries across Africa. And those successes include the successes that we have recorded not just within the banking sector, but also within the verticals.
So we've solved problems here in Nigeria. We're solving problems in 12 other African countries, and we believe that in the next few years we will be able to solve problems across the entire continent. Now, because payment is becoming global, what we want to do is to not restrict our customers and Africans in general who want to do trade internationally from being able to do so on the backs of the infrastructure that Verve has built.
We believe that as Verve can become very successful in Nigeria, there could be a case to translate that success into other African countries. And that is why we came up with the payoff line of the key to Africa exchange. What we are saying basically that in future, if I want to move value from one part of Africa to another, Verve becomes the medium to achieve that. And that is why, like I said earlier, we are creating digital assets that can leverage electronic means of circulation of money, okay? And that is why things like Verve Pay Code, Verve M-Pin, and Verve Cash have been created. So basically, we'd like in the future, when people are having commerce across Africa, that Verve is the primary middle medium of exchange. It's a dream come true. And many years ago when we started, nobody believed that a card that was designed to be cheap and cheerful for the Nigerian market could ever go global. Today it has gone. The transactions were done in New York first. It was fast, it was successful. And on the basis of that, we believe we are ready to truly go global.
When Charles and I first had that phone call 6-7 years ago, and we embarked on a journey, it's taken a long time, Charles. Diane off Rhymes, President of Payment Services, Discover Financial Services.
So today, with the launch of the Verve Global Card on Discover Global Network, Verve member banks can now offer a product providing international acceptance to their cardholders, which ensures that Verve can truly compete in their own market and abroad. Bravo, bravo. So thank you, gentlemen. Amazing accomplishments, and we could not be more thrilled and proud to be in partnership with all of you. So thank you.
You all know the challenges we face as a domestic scale, trying to create value internationally, and how somewhere down the line, through a partnership with Discover, we're able to achieve one of our aspirations, which is basically to take the Verve card global. Verve is 10 years this year, and is there a better time other than now to go global?
This is going to open more doors, opportunity for Verve the brand and for Verve customers.
We were looking for a partner in Africa who could work with us as a domestic network, and we found each other, and we wanted a phenomenal partner, which Verve is, and InterSwitch, a great company, very talented and certainly very much capable in technology, in capabilities, and acceptance.
And the partnership between Discover and Verve and InterSwitch means that we can meet our business objectives and Verve and InterSwitch can meet their business objectives, and together 1 + 1 is going to equal 5. So our partnership will lift both of our businesses.
Happy 10th anniversary.
Happy 10th anniversary.
I would say kudos to everyone that has been involved in the, making Verve, a global brand. And for us in First Bank, we wish Verve, all the best.
We wish for many more years of them being a successful card scheme, not only in Nigeria but globally.
We wish Verve another 10 years of great success, of innovation, in the mission of making payments accessible and affordable to many more Nigerians and Africans and people all over the world.
I look forward to hearing good news about the great things that Verve is going to do in years to come.